Electric midsize SUVs better brace themselves because what's just landed is their nemesis. This is the Hyundai Creta Electric, and even though it's not a grounds up EV, it has come for war. We know how serious Hyundai is with the Creta name, so there is a lot of promise. Now, arguably the one thing everyone needs to know is the real world range. So while I explain the rest of the changes, Saumil is out doing a range test, so by the end of the video, we will have the real figure for you. Now on the outside, it shares a lot with the ICE-powered Creta, but it definitely gets its own few identities. First, of course, is the bumper. That's the most noticeable change on the Creta Electric. You have this pixelated look for it. You have the charging port that's right here. Low down, you have these flaps that open up automatically. When the system needs cooling, it can let air pass through and cool the system, and then it shuts off automatically as well when the temperatures are settled. So aerodynamics are not suffered. You have a bit of faux metal as well, and overall the front is not too different. Of course, we have this recognizable look, LED headlamps, the LED DRLs with the connected top. You have a 360-degree camera, as you can see right here. ADAS, of course, part of the package as well. We'll find out more on that in a bit. But overall, as a design, you don't see too much that is different, but you have these individual elements that make it stand out. Now over to the side, it's going to take a closer look to know that this is a Creta Electric, because the front has these pixelated elements and all these new changes. On the side, you don't really have a lot. The biggest telltale sign are, of course, the wheels. 17-inch wheels, but as you can see, they get this aero optimized design, cut better through the air, and the tires are also low rolling resistance tires, which means it takes less effort to roll them, and that is always better for efficiency. Dimensionally, there has been no change, so the length and the wheelbase is still the same, and the ground clearance stands at a very strong 200 mm, which is not too bad considering the battery is quite low down. You can almost see the battery popping out as well. So if the car is fully loaded and if you have massive speed bumps, which we do in our country, then you have to be a bit careful, because the first thing that will hit is that battery pack. Otherwise, the design is pretty identifiable. You have these same panels, the doors, everything is exactly the same as the standard car, and that's never a bad thing. And at the rear, it's not too different from the standard car as well. You get the same LED tail lamps that are connected. You get a spoiler with a stop lamp, a rear wiper washer. You have a shark fin antenna, and low down the bumper gets the same treatment as on the front. So you have these pixelated elements. You've got the reversing light integrated between them, some silver faux metal. Of course, no exhaust. It's an EV after all, so they've not strayed too far from the standard car, and that's a good thing. It's recognizable, people like the design, and it is nice and modern as well. So good and big thumbs up on the outside. Now inside the Creta Electric, there's a lot that you see from the standard Creta, but there are some unique bits as well. Starting with the steering, you have a new steering with new switch gear, and of course the Hyundai logo has been replaced with a Morse code like you see on the Ioniq 5. Looks nice and modern. You get the paddle shifters as well, but these of course are for the regeneration. You have the gear stalk that has been now shifted on the steering column, so very nifty, and again like the Ioniq 5, and that means you have this space right here that has been freed up. So you have more storage option. You have a nice big cubby hole down here. You have a nice cubby hole here as well. This is cooled, so you can keep your refreshments in here. The glove box is also cooled, so you can keep some things in there as well. You got a wireless charger, you get a Type-C port, a USB-A port, and you got this nice floating sort of center console with two cup holders, your ventilated seat option, drive mode button, electronic parking brake, and of course the 360-degree camera button right here. Now the screens, as I mentioned, are similar in terms of size, but they get a different UX UI. Of course, you have your EV information that is crammed into them, so very intuitive and very nice to use. Low down, you have the HVAC control. Now, compared to the standard Creta, this is slightly different. This is more like an Alcazar, so you don't have physical buttons on the piano black, but you have this very clean look. Obviously, it is a bit reflective, so not the best, but it is better, and it looks nice and modern compared to the standard Creta. Now coming to the seats, you have ventilated seats for both the driver and the passenger. You have power adjust for driver and passenger as well. And the driver's seat also gets memory function with 2 settings. And its features galore. It's a Hyundai after all, so panoramic sunroof, like I mentioned, wireless charging, and there is so much more that's packed into this car. Just have a look in this slate right here. We are still so that like the standard Creta, the electric lacks wireless Android Auto and Apple CarPlay. The front armrest isn't adjustable, it misses the rear headrest for the middle passenger, and the volume of its 8-speaker Bose setup is much lower at the rear than in the front. Now in the backseat of the Creta Electric, not a lot that is different in terms of space. As I mentioned, the wheelbase has not really changed, so legroom is still pretty similar. These seats have been scooped out as well, but you get these Alcazar-like trays for the rear passengers. You have cup holders in them as well, along with some space for your iPad or for your mobile phone. And if this space is not enough, you can of course move this seat ahead. You have a Boss function as well. Now the more noticeable change of course is in the floor height, because you are seated slightly knees up, and that is the result of the battery being mounted in the floor. The height has changed slightly, so for long-legged adults you will notice that you will miss out on some under-thigh support, but it's not bad at all. You can definitely be comfortable back here. You have space under the front seats for your feet. You have a nice amount of recline, but if this is not enough, if you want to relax and lay back a bit more, you have a two-step mechanism for the backrest, so you can really find a nice comfortable spot. You've got sun blinds as well, nice large sun blinds that cover a good amount of area. You've got center armrest with 2 cup holders. You've got AC vents at the back, 2 Type-C ports, some space to keep your phone, and of course the panoramic sunroof adding to the overall experience. So a really nice comfortable seat. The cushioning is also very nice, and the front seats and the rear seats both have a different form of upholstery. It uses a bit of recycled material as well, so it goes a bit longer in terms of sustainability, and that's always a nice touch. Additionally, the Creta Electric features a V2L or vehicle to load system with a 3-pin power socket under the rear seat. That enables users to power devices like laptops or small appliances. Storage capacity remains practical with the same 433-litre boot with no compromise as the ICE version, complete with a full-size spare under the boot floor, and there is also a 22-litre frunk beneath the bonnet. Now the Creta Electric is available with 2 battery packs, a 42 kWh and a 51.4 kWh, which this is, and both are NMC batteries opposed to LFP batteries which are used on its rivals. Now NMCs are basically power dense, so performance is something they offer greatly, and in this case, well, that is very true, because even though at 171 horsepower, Creta Electric is not the most powerful car in its segment, it still has a lot of go. In our testing, the Creta Electric managed a 0 to 100 kph time of 8.1 seconds. That's only slightly behind the claimed time of 7.9 seconds. Kickdown times were even more impressive, with 20 to 80 kph taking just 4.6 seconds and 40 to 100 kph taking just 5.5 seconds. Flat out, it can achieve a top speed of 180 kph. And right now I'm in eco mode and I still have a decent amount of poke. If I switch it to normal, it gets a bit better. And when I switch it to sport, the response is immediate. Now, while the response is immediate, it's not neck snapping. It's not that uncomfortable shock to the system that you generally have with EVs. Of course, you will get an instant burst of acceleration, but around the 100 kph mark, it starts to slowly taper off and settle down. And that happens with all the drive modes. So even if you're in eco, you'll have that restricted power delivery, but once you're up to 80, 90, 100 kph, it'll all start to flatten out evenly. So in terms of usability, it definitely is quite comfortable. A synthesized bassy hum under hard acceleration adds a touch of drama to the otherwise silent drive. And of course, with an EV, you always have to talk about recuperation or regen. 0 obviously means no regen on offer. Then you have level 1, level 2, level 3. And level 3 is pretty strong, but then you also have something called max. Now max basically is one pedal driving. Hyundai calls it I-pedal. What that means is bumper to bumper traffic, you don't have to switch between brake and accelerator. You can control the car using just the accelerator. So if you lift off, it will automatically brake, and the whole calibration is done very well, so you don't fear that the car might not brake in time. It is very nice to respond. And the great thing on the regen again is that it is linked to the ADAS system. So if you're using adaptive cruise control, the car will automatically adjust the regen levels based on your driving speed, based on the car in front. So it is very, very intelligent, but it's not just, all for show's sake. It also is very practical and quite usable, and definitely a big thumbs up when it comes to safety. Of course, ADAS in our country is always a bit haphazard because of the traffic. You know, the technology is good. It's the erratic traffic style. Someone suddenly cuts in, you have a cow running through, you have animals on the road. But if there was to be a sought after system, it is this one. Hyundai claims the battery can be charged from 10 to 80% in just 58 minutes using a 50 kilowatt DC fast charger. With an 11 kilowatt AC charger, the larger battery charges fully from 10 to 100% in 4 hours 50 minutes, while the smaller battery completes this in 4 hours. Also, Hyundai will be expanding its charging infrastructure and has made the My Hyundai app a lot more user-friendly by collaborating with third-party chargers. Also interesting is the in-car payment mode that requires you to just top up your Hyundai wallet and you can then pay through the infotainment screen, adding more convenience. And while everything on the region is good, it's not like they've compromised on the brake feel of the car because the braking is pretty natural. So basically you don't have any variation in the brake bite. It all feels very harmonious and as it would on a standard ICE car. And on the subject of ride quality, now it definitely is a stiffer setup compared to the standard Creta because you have a lot more weight, you have the batteries in the floor as well. So over low speed bumps, it does thud, you feel that sharp thud of the suspension, you can hear the suspension more. But it's not like it's uncomfortable by any means, especially out on the highway. It is very planted and very stable, incredibly confident. So on high speeds, on highways, this thing has no complaints. On low speeds also, it's not like the ride is jarring. But yes, over the sharp bumps or into the potholes, you will hear the suspension thud, but that's about it. The stiffer suspension is to support the additional weight of the battery and the motor that sits on the front axle. And the same goes for the handling as well. Because you have a bit more weight, the steering has a bit more heft. It's not as light as the ICE-powered Creta. So twirling it does require some extra effort. But again, the feel feedback is very good. It's consistent. So no complaints there either. Now for the big one, the range. In a mixed driving cycle of city and highway conditions, our preliminary tests of the long-range variant returned an impressive real-world range of approximately 426 kilometers. For reference, we covered 289.6 kilometers with an overall average of 41 kilometers per hour and toggling through the drive and regenerative modes as well. It utilized 68% of the charge, and yet that is very impressive. At an expected price range between 17 lakh to 23 lakh rupees, the Creta Electric comes across as a fantastic EV. Will it replace the ICE model success? Well, if first impressions are anything to go by, the Creta Electric seems to have all that it takes to dominate the EV space, just like its ICE cousin.